What's up? What's up? How about this market rally? Good thing we're long, anyways. Who would have thunk? Give me one vote. I want to know who said they were going higher. Who would have thought they were going to continue to go higher? Of course, who would have thought St. Peter's would be the first team to get to the get to the Elite Eight or whatever they call it. Okay. But it was my NCAA's came to a crashing halt. It was an ugly weekend, as they say, but whatever. Okay. In the meantime, again, we got markets that just want to go higher. I don't know. Look, the volume stinks, but we don't typically talk volume. And the only reason I'm talking it now is just because something is fishy. Okay. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just giving you this is just purely an opinion. Okay. It has no value to the next trade we're going to make right now. Okay. It is simply an opinion of what I'm watching. And to me, they're just setting it up. Okay. Again, this is what I expect. I've showed you before, but I'll show you again. This is what I expect from equities. Okay. But again, it could be tomorrow. It could be, next week, could be next year. Nobody knows. Anybody who says they know what tomorrow will bring is a liar. Okay. In the meantime, you've got just hellacious inflation. I mean, it's not laughable. It's cryable. Okay. With what's going on here. And the damage that is being done, is even worse. Okay. I mean, nobody ever talks about the damage. I don't hear anybody talking about the potential food shortage next year. Okay. But it's real. Those things are real. Listen, me, I don't preach fear. Okay. I never preach fear. Okay. I'm just telling you what I think is reality. And I think reality states that there is a disaster coming in more ways than one. Now, fuel, you can kind of, lower your usage, but what are you going to do about eating? What are you going to do about food? Okay. That's what I want to know. Okay. What are you going to do about the food? And I think that's a bigger question. Okay. We don't talk about it. We don't hear our administration talking about it. We don't hear anybody talking about it. Okay. But here you've got, markets that are just, crude oil got plummeted today, but really when you look at it, where is it? It's kind of in mid-range. Okay. Now, again, I'm sure when Andy gets there, we'll talk about it's going higher, but right now today it went down $10. Okay. All right. Well, it happens. Remember, the pricier markets get, the more volatility that they see. And not necessarily the implied variety, but certainly the price variety, right? There's a difference, right? Implied is used for options, which implies expectation of movement. Volatility in price is just, they swing around faster, which means like when we're day trading, we use wider stops right now. But we have narrowed down some of the stops in the equities because they're just not swinging as much. They're basically just going up. Okay. But, look, I say to you that, again, it's all about price action. It's all about what's going on in the market. And there's nothing else to look at. Okay. The price will tell you everything that you need to know. Okay. The price will guide you to where you need to be. Okay. Again, we can look for reasons of things to do. But again, let the price guide you. And that's it, because the chart itself is really what? It's nothing more than a map. It's nothing more than a guideline, okay, that we can use as something that will give us an idea of what to expect. Now, again, there is nothing that is 100%. Even the market opening tomorrow is not 100%. They have had problems. They have had to, stay closed, not because of prices, because they had technical problems, but basically, without any technical problems, the markets will open them. Okay, so that's 100% guaranteed. Okay, again, unless there's a technical problem. I remember a few years ago, one of the exchanges was down. They couldn't, so they shut them off. But overall, okay, barring any technical problems, the markets will open tomorrow. Okay, or tonight. When after they close, they're still open right now. But you could look at this as a potential blow-off type trade. Okay, daily heavy volume on a straight down day. Okay, or you can look at it, at whatever you choose to. Okay, now again, the trend is still up for the moment. We don't know for sure. Okay, but at the end of the day, you're gonna end up being with the trend. Okay, because that's the only way to really participate with the market. And of course, we know that these patterns like this suck. Okay, look, let's not hold anything back. Okay, which I don't do anyways, but consolidation sucks. Okay, so we've now once again broken out to the upside. We've been long for a couple of weeks, but they've really broken out now. So the key for us is that they continue. Okay, if they stop and turn around and consolidate again, that is where the most brutal activity comes into play. Okay, when they stop going in a direction. Okay, we don't care which direction they go. We just want them to go. Okay, we don't want them to stop. Okay, whichever way they're going. Okay, until they at least lock us in nicely and with profits. Okay, and then they can do whatever they want. But in the meantime, you got these consolidation patterns. Now, you look at gold, for example. Gold is getting clobbered today, and here it is back on the bottom end. So is 1920 the new support, or is it still 1900? I still think it's 1900. Okay. Now, again, am I right? We'll see. Okay. But I think that's the key. I think that's the pivot. We're short. Now, I do think we will go higher. But for right now, okay, it doesn't look very good to me. Does it look good to you? Does gold look good to anybody right now? Now, you know how much hate mail I get. And of course, there's one guy that emails me whenever it goes up and says, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. And, I never hear from when it goes down. Okay. But, today was down $31. Okay. So, but does anybody think this chart looks good? Okay. From where it is right now, if you do, say so. Don't be shy. I'm not going to get mad at you. I don't care. That's what makes a market anyways, is the trading activity, that gets bought. You think one thing, I think another, but I try to think without an opinion. Okay. I try to think without a bias, because we normally and naturally all have some sort of a bias, just out of natural. Listen, what I think, where I think we're going. Okay. But that's not getting me short today, because that's what I think. I'm pretty long, because when you tie in our positions, okay, and then you tie in my overall holdings, okay, which are hedged, but still long, I'm pretty damn long right now. Okay. So, let them keep going up. I don't like them, but I'm not getting out, and I'm not shorting them because I don't like them. One thing has nothing to do with the other. And I think that is something that you have to learn as somebody who wants to participate in a market. Okay. You have different positions under different circumstances, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're day trading, that's one set. If you're swing trading, that's another. If you're investing, that's another. So they all have different rules and different biases. Okay. So think about it. Okay. When you're making those decisions, but don't put yourself in a position where you're going to try to predict the next move, because again, that will end up putting you in the poorhouse. Okay. Market predictors are a dime a dozen, and look at the smartest people in the world and how often they're wrong. Okay. We don't hear about, the names Len Gazzarelli or Joe Granville anymore. They made one good call in their life. Bill Ackman, when's the last time you heard from him? Right before COVID, after he shorted the market and said it was going down big. Okay. Jim Chanos, the famous short. They don't tell you, he don't come on air when they're getting pounded. Okay. He only comes on air when they're on the right side. So again, just remember, okay, that nobody knows. Okay. Well, maybe the shadow knows. Okay. But, you can look around the neighborhood. Okay. Apple's unbelievable all of a sudden, right? It went ballistic. Not a surprise that it went higher, not a surprise that 150 held, but certainly, again, when we look at how fast they then start to go up when things happen, it's kind of interesting. Okay. When you think about it, because again, this is kind of what we do. Okay. So, it's not a surprise. Nothing should ever come as a total surprise, especially with the amount of information that is out there. Okay. What would be a major surprise to you today? Okay. There shouldn't be much. Okay. Because at the end of the day, okay, everything is kind of out there. The information is kind of out there. Like we got jobs coming up Friday. Whatever the number is now, again, government numbers in general, and that's not just this government. Government in general, for as long as I've been around, okay, are relatively garbage because they're always subject to revisions. So what does it mean when they tell me Friday what the jobs were? Okay, what does it mean? Well, I'll bet $1 million that there is a revision for last month's jobs. Okay. Anybody want to take the bet? I'll bet $1 million that there will be a revision from last month's. Okay. If you started late, if I started late, that would be a surprise. But I was late once. Okay. I was sitting in my room in Vegas. Everybody was there waiting for me. I was late. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was up. Wasn't like I couldn't have been there. But yeah, I'm not too late. I have yet to be late in my life, with the exception of one time, and that was purely by accident. Just because I don't ask me. I do confuse myself with time once in a while. I got so many different time zones I'm in that sometimes I forget, and I make the mistake, the calculations, because I never change my watch. Okay, but again, you look at the markets, and the markets are always the markets. That they haven't changed as long as I've been trading. The only thing that's changed is the size, the numbers. Okay, but percentage-wise, moves are very similar to when I started, when the Dow was 800. Okay, remember, I started the Dow was 800. Okay, so that's all that changes is the numbers change, but the percentages don't change often. Okay. So, just keep that in mind. Again, whenever you see a big move, before you get yourself in a tizzy, go look at the percentage move first. Okay. Before, again, if you had a $100 stock that made a 3% move, it'd be $3. Would you have a heart attack? Probably not. So if the Dow goes down 1,000, which is 3%, would you have a heart attack? I hope not, because that's just a percentage move. Okay. This is what we have to always remember, is that percentages are percentages, and that's it. Okay. And we can't change what the market's going to do. We can only understand and interpret what the charts are telling us to do. Okay. And, again, right now we're pretty long, right? Okay. So, hey, look, let them keep going. I'm always happier, in recent vintage, I've been happier being short. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to run out and short the market because I think so. I'm going to trade them as they come. Okay. Because again, I've lost fortunes trying to be smarter than the market itself. Okay. And I can tell you that it's generally a losing proposition. Okay. So, just keep that in mind. J.O. Oh, okay, good. Good for you. Oh, hit. No, that's not good. Hit is not good. Okay. But, so, we've got a market that is unbelievably quiet, which is weird. Okay. We're still in the end of the first quarter, and it's been, from a overall volume standpoint. And again, we don't typically discuss the volume a lot because it's not all that important, but the first quarter has been pretty pathetic. Now it ends, Thursday. Okay. Now, what's going to happen? Well, I mean, you would suspect you might see some window dressing. Okay. You might suspect, I don't know if there will or won't, but you would suspect there would be. Okay. Window dressing is fairly common. Okay. They have a quarter. Why? Because of course the fund managers want to get paid, so they need to get a good mark on their portfolios. And typically they're going to be on the long side of the market. So, there's always some shady activity around the end of a month or end of a quarter, especially the end of a quarter, because that's typically when fees and things are figured out. Okay. And the biggies that can do it, they will certainly make some of those adjustments, right? Can you define window dressing? Is that they typically will rally the markets at the end of the quarter, not always, but typically at the end of the quarter to make their portfolios look better so that when the quarterly reports go out to their customers, it looks better than it may really be. That is known as window dressing. Does that make sense to you, my friend? If not, let me know. I'll try a better way to explain it. But the move you might see on, even the whole week could be, I mean, we're off to a big start today, but let's say Wednesday, Thursday, and especially Thursday, you could see a push higher, no matter what it looks like, because the portfolios are going to get marked on Thursday for the quarter. Okay. Because most of us get quarterly statements, right? If you're with an advisor, you get a quarterly statement, right? So, that's what you have to look at. Okay. And that's what I would be thinking. Okay. That, again, I'm not going to play for it. I'm going to, whatever my position is, it'll be. But I would suspect that, window dressing would not be out of the question. Okay. Coming into the end of the quarter. Okay. So again, it's some of the things that go on in markets are artificial. Some things are real. Okay. And at the end of the day, it's all real, right? No matter why it got there, whether it be window dressing or whatever it happens to be, at the end of the day, when they mark the markets and they mark your portfolio, that's the price. Okay. So it doesn't matter how it got there. And I think that's, people don't understand that. I mean, could you be right sometimes? Sure you could. But if they've taken all your money because you're stubborn and fighting it, how'd you do it? You're out of business, but you had an opinion and you tried to use it. That doesn't work. It doesn't work very good because, again, dollars and price are absolute. And when this market closes and they mark your portfolio for the day, that is where you are. And if it takes you into a debit, either you have to make it good or you go out of business. Okay. So just remember that. Okay. That, that's why opinions are like, you can fill in the blank, and you've heard me use it a couple of times. We all got one. Okay. But there's a lot of crappy things. My brother's here. What's up, boy?
Speaking of crappy things.
I mean, is there not a lot of crappy things going on in this country right now? And I'm not talking politically yet, but I'm talking, I opened up with nobody's talking about the potential food shortage that we're going to have.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a little bit, but I don't think they're focused on how serious this is.
And you're in the industry. You've been in both sides of the industry. You've been one of the biggest. You not exclusively, but you really predominantly cover the commodity markets, which are our food. Okay, what are you seeing, and what do you expect?
I mean, look, Bubba, we're going into the key season where the seeds go into the ground at the highest prices in years, with a scarcity of fertilizers, with inflation raging, the land prices, the labor prices, the financing costs, the farm equipment costs, the everything, energy is sky high. And we have a part of the world that exports, massive amounts of corn and soybeans, is a battlefield. So from my perspective, listen, they pulled back today. Wheat was down hard, and beans were down hard. But this is a very dangerous situation, because food is, energy is one thing. Food is it sustains life. And
you must have been listening before you got here, because that's exactly
I didn't.
what I said.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding, but we can adjust.
Actually, I was just looking at my granddaughter before I came home.
I don't blame you. We can adjust around the energy problem if we're short, but right. It's hard to adjust around food unless you're going to eat in the metaverse with a special pill.
Right. And you know what? In this country, in the United States of America, still the greatest country in the world, we will be paying through the nose for food. Yeah. But in Africa, in other countries, they will not have food. And that will sow civil all kinds of problems and
civil discourse.
And, right. Revolutions and all kinds of things. And, the world is very unstable now. So this is really serious, and it will come home to affect us.
Bring back Marie Antoinette.
They put her head on a pole.
Let them eat cake. Just to answer your question, sir, it doesn't mean the markets are going to sell out the following day. Window dressing for the end of the quarter and usually the first of the month can sell off. But again, if you're in a strong enough trend, it could continue. If you're in a downtrend and you get a little window dressing, you could see it go break the next day or two.
Yeah, but it kind of tells you what people's positions are, because they try to goose markets in the way they're positioned.
Right.
So actually in bull markets, they push them up. They often push them up at the end of a quarter.
And so again, you normally will see rallies towards the end of quarters just for, again, the window dressing. The real question is if you're in a bull market, which I guess we're long, so I have to assume we're in a bull market, that they're going to, even if they go up higher into the quarter artificially, they're going to continue to rally because we are going up. And, right now, whether I like it or not, or whether I agree with it or not, means nothing. Right. It means everything is the price at the end of the day. Yes, sir.
We've been saying all along that, these nominal prices and the price direction, this is all could be a giant mirage. And it's really telling us that the value of money is going down. We see it in real estate. We see it in commodities. We see it in stocks even. Stocks had every reason to trash here. But if just the value of fiat currencies is declining steadily and the dollar is no longer going to be the world's reserve currency, it shouldn't be as a surprise. It's just inflation.
Right. It's artificial garbage.
Right. It's artificial.
That's what you got. Okay. Planting report Wednesday. I got to tell you something. I understand the planting report, but here's I'll let you explain your position after, but to me, it's all bullshit. Okay. First of all, they don't go out and check them all. They make a general assessment. And it's funny, for those of you who know Tom, his wife is a marine biologist, and not the George Costanza. She's really a marine biologist. Okay. And she is out right now on Pismo Beach, okay, counting the Pismo clams, which are short. And in fact, they issue about 7,000 tickets a year for people taking too many from them. And there's a shortage. We have a shortage of abalone. We have a shortage of salmon. We have a shortage of sea bass. And now we have a shortage of Pismo clams. Take that for what it's worth. But they're actually they're not doing an approximate count, which is what they'll do for planting. They are doing an actual count, basically, for they're raking basically the whole beach and where they come from, so that they have a fairly accurate count of what they're going to get. Now, again, these reports that we get from the government, especially when it comes to farming, from what I understand and from it's all BS garbage, because they don't do enough. And when they give us these numbers, they don't account for the guys that are in North Dakota and South Dakota. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree that they're very flimsy, the reports, and really the only thing that I look at, I read the reports and I look at them, but more importantly, what I look at is what the market expects from the reports and how they come out, because that is what moves markets.
Right.
They come out different than expectations. That's when you get a big move. Now, whatever the USDA says, I'll tell you this: we better have a bumper crop this year, because Ukraine, Russia, parts of Europe, they are not going to have, and Brazil crop was not good. So we need, if we ever needed a bumper crop in the US, this is the year we need it. So Mother Nature is critical.
Now, and we already have weather problems already.
Right.
Hey, what's your take on Shanghai and the shutdown?
It's interesting to me. I mean, listen, we both agreed that, the shutdowns here and stuff were all about control. And when you're talking about controlling your people, there's no place better than China and Russia. So, they're still flexing their muscles and trying to control everyone. And it suits their need. Believe me, behind the whole thing, there's a reason that it suits their economic needs to shut down.
Right. Okay.
That's my take.
Now, I know it's hard for you to have a bitch after just looking at your granddaughter, but do you have any bitches today?
Oh, I do actually. I spent the weekend with with Julie's son, my stepson.
Right. Your
And,
son. Your son.
we got a house for him.
Oh, nice. Where at?
Not far from you.
Nice.
Not far from you. And the process, Bubba, was disgusting.
Huh.
We finally settled on the price last night at 11 p.m. And let me tell you what I had to do. I had to put in an offer. We had to put in an offer that was basically, they were making this poor kid climb a stepping stool to higher prices, and that's just what real estate agents do, and that's fine. But I knew we were the best bid and best offer. I know it's reversed in real estate. It always drives me crazy. We were the best offer on the house, and I had to put it in. I basically called the real estate agent, read him the riot act, and said, "Hey, this offer is good for 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, we're out and we're walking," and we got it. But
nice. Does it have a 17-car garage that he needs?
No, three car. But it's a nice house built in 2006. Can't even touch new construction. And listen to what they're doing in the new construction. The same company you bought from. If you want to buy a house in one of their neighborhoods now, they tell you how many properties are coming up next week for sale. They have a bidding process. You have to put in an envelope your bid. They tell you our suggested retail price is this. The lot premium is this. Please put in your bids. And they're coming in hundreds of thousands of dollars, the offers on the new houses, over both the house price and the lot premium price. So there is no transparency now in this market. So in Vegas, and this is good news for you. You bought a house here last year. It was wonderful. Your timing was impeccable. Right now, there's about 3,000 houses for 3,600 demand for new houses each month, and the total supply for 2022 is 10,500 houses. So do the math. The bottom line is, interest rates might go a lot higher, but this is very ugly.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, where would I go? Right now, I get
inflation.
I could sell my house for probably.
My bitch is no transparency in a market is bad for the market.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, now if I say to you that the way that Biden and this administration is handling oil, if I said it borders on criminal, what would you say?
Well, if one side of the border is criminal, the other side is stupidity. How's that?
But would you say that am I out of line? Am I nuts? Or am I?
No, but they're not smart enough to be criminal. They're pandering to the left, which is going to lose them the midterm election. So good luck with that. That's my view. My view is they're just pandering to this left because they talk the loudest and scream the loudest, and they're really so out of touch. I mean, you got a bartender from Queens who's basically, the new energy expert in the world. Come on.
Right.
It's
No,
ridiculous.
I mean, it's amazing. And wherever you go, it's packed. You know, I had my
Yeah, I went to Costco. I went to Costco on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. I filled up with gas, 5.20 a gallon.
and no help anywhere. Nobody can get help. Okay, everywhere you go, there's big offers, big huge deals that are willing to make you. I mean, I had to go yesterday to Home Depot. At first, I had to take my mom to the Goodwill store. That was the first thing. Okay. Yeah, my mom's a bargain hunter, right? She's 92 years old. She got to go. So I had to take her. Then I had to go to Home Depot, Kohl's, and Best Buy. Okay. A, I had to wait in every place. B, nobody knew anything, and I couldn't get any help. And it took me forever to get what I needed, but I got it all done. But you know, it's amazing how far. What's up, Luigi?
You want to hear? You want to hear a funny story? I don't know if I told you this one already, but if I did, it's worth repeating. So my son's a state's prosecutor, right?
Right.
In Chicago, and he's right now in the family support division. So he told me he had a case last week. The guy, he mostly pretty poor people coming through. The guy had a child support order against him for $40 a week. He had to pay $40 a week, right? So he says he goes to the judge. My son's a prosecutor. He goes to the judge. He says, "Judge, I can't afford it. I can't get work." My son says to him, he says, "Your Honor, can I interject?" He says, "I walked to the courtroom today, 3 blocks. In the 3 blocks I walked to the courtroom, there were about 25 stores. In every one of those stores, there was a help wanted sign. What are you telling us? You can't get work." So the guy says, "Oh, I'm afraid of COVID." My son said to him, "Get an injection and get a job."
Unbelievable.
And you know what the judge said to him? The judge said to him, "That's enough," and ruled in favor of the guy.
Naturally, that's what. Look,
I told my son, "I'm proud of you." He said, "Get an injection and get a job."
And he's smart. He's right.
Right.
Of course, and the Yankees have control in New York because now there's no more. You don't have to be injected anymore.
Well, as a Yankee fan, I'm all in favor of that.
Listen, I'm in favor of it anyway. Again, I'm a big believer in everything. What do you say, Ash? How you doing, buddy? So again, we've got a market that continues to go higher. So no matter what you and I think, and again, you made your case for because of the currencies and all whatever, but it doesn't matter. Whatever we think it's not our opinion about the economy. Will we see a big sell at some point? You can bet your ass. But again, right now the markets want to go higher. Okay.
I mean, listen, if I didn't follow trends, I'd be losing my ass in this market.
I mean, how can and like I was talking about earlier, the jobs number is coming out Friday. And I said, so what does it mean? It means nothing. We already know about what it is. I guarantee you Goldman and the JP and Citi, they all know about the number.
By the way, the jobs number is a big mirage because it's the addressable market for jobs is not reflective of the number of people.
Right.
And if it's dropped out of the job market.
And if it's too good or too bad, it'll be revised the next month. So what's the difference?
What do you think, by the way, what do you think about the billionaires tax?
About what?
The billionaires tax today.
I didn't see. I didn't. You know me. I don't watch.
So they're gonna. He's back on the taxing unrealized gains.
Yeah.
Well, that I will tell you is not bullish for the stock market.
Is that a bill they're proposing, or is that something?
Yeah, that's his bill. That's his new tax back better or whatever he's going to call
it. Well, he's an imbecile. It'll never get through. I mean,
it'll never get through because
you know what I don't understand is they complain about the billionaires who pay the most amount of tax, employ the most amount of people. They don't complain about the crap that they can created in front of us. They don't complain about all the BS that has been made by this particular administration. Again, I will go directly to this administration right now, but yet they want to tax the rich, so to speak. Right? And yet the middle class is getting tormented like crazy with all these ridiculous, inflation and all these other things that are going on that are actually busting out the middle class.
Right. Inflation is the worst tax possible.
And they call that, I believe they call that taxation without representation, I believe.
It's the worst. It's the worst. And it was totally, and you brought it up before. It was totally avoidable. It was totally avoidable. This is created because energy ignited it. And not only that, listen, I mean, one thing that we're going towards green under Biden, and that lifted the prices. But the mishandling of this thing in Ukraine, which is being mishandled, because because
Are you shocked?
negotiating is critical. I mean, I don't care what you think of Putin. You got to negotiate here. I mean, even the
Are you
president of
shocked that
Ukraine,
they butchered it?
no, I mean, what he did over the weekend, how he came out and said, we have to replace the leader of a nuclear power. That was, I mean, that's a gaffe. He makes a lot of gaffes, but this one's a particularly dangerous one. It just goes to show how foolish and how unsophisticated. And I'm surprised he was a senator on the Foreign Relations Committee. He should know that, there's a certain way of being diplomatic. You might hate someone, but you got to be, listen, Trump, with all his faults, and now it looks like they're going to indict him on criminal charges. Who the hell knows what they're going to do to him? He was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un. He was diplomatic. He was totally undiplomatic with the press and with some people that he didn't like. But with the people who mattered, he had a nice diplomatic flair, And I don't agree with the people who say that this is all his fault. He made Putin feel, comfortable doing this. No, because Putin would have done it under him if he felt comfortable. He knew that there was a line with Trump he couldn't go over.
Right.
Whatever you think of Trump, there was a line.
Right. And
there's no line with this.
And nobody would cross it because they knew that there would be ramifications.
Right. There's no line with this guy. There is a line. The line is moving at all times.
And unfortunately, never in our favor as Americans.
No. Everything is against us. And the progressive movement, their real underlying message is that we as Americans have to hate ourselves because we're racist, because we're Americans. I mean, it's ridiculous. We should be proud.
Of course we should be proud. You know what? We should be proud at the progress that we've made in every category. I mean, are we perfect? No.
Yeah, well, one of the agents yesterday, when we were doing this thing with this house, guy was a very nice guy. He was a Navy SEAL for years, So I was talking to him. We're talking about the world. I told him, I used to travel everywhere. I said, every time I'd come back to Kennedy Airport, which is a garbage hole, it's a terrible place, I would kiss the ground. Because the places I was coming from, they might have had nicer airports, but they were not nicer places to live. There's no place like this. No place like this.
But again, basically, at the current pace, they're turning the United States of America into one of those places.
Banana Republic.
Okay. I mean, again, whatever you think, this is very serious, and it better get fixed because it's really getting ugly, and it's. You're destroying every small business is getting busted out. Okay. For what? For what reason? Okay. It doesn't make sense what they're doing. Okay. So anyways, as you said, the dollar is worthless as the paper or the digital side is going to be printed on. But again, we're still long dollars, and guess what? It's up near the highs again.
Right. It's only because the euro is more worthless.
Right. And it's going past what we call par or a dollar. And without question, in my mind, it's going back to this 104 level, 105 level, somewhere around there. Okay. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Is there any doubt in your mind?
No, I mean, look at the trend. I mean, look at the trend. The trend is higher. Interest rates are going up. It's all about interest rate differentials. But you know what? It's all BS because the dollar is just the best, the best horse in the glue factory, as I always like to say.
Anyways, Connie, 98.50, 99.50. We're going higher. Okay.
But not in a straight line because this is the most manipulated market of all.
Right.
Because they want stability. And the one thing I will tell you is about the dollar is the fact that the Saudis are now thinking about selling the Chinese oil in yuan, and the Nigerians are selling them oil in yuan, and the Russians are saying that they will not use dollars anymore, and China will follow suit. That means that the dollar has been the reserve currency of the world since 1945. Before that, it was the British pound. Those days are coming to an end, folks.
Yeah, it looks that way. Now, again, hopefully, things will change in November and we'll get back on the right track and get away from what we're doing now.
That shows a lot of faith in Republicans.
Well,
I have faith in either
listen,
side.
I have faith in no politician,
I agree.
Republican or Democrat, but I do believe that at least when you have, and I don't care who's in, but when you have some fiscal responsibility versus none, okay, I think that says a lot to the country. Okay,
Yeah.
and this administration has zero fiscal
Yeah,
responsibility.
but again, you'd agree with me. It's the better of two evils.
Yes, I'm not. Look, I'm nervous of where we're going. Okay. In the meantime, the euro currency, as you just said, is a piece of crap. Now, at this particular time, okay, we're still along the euro as well. And that is on some support, but again, I'm convinced in my mind it's going below the dollar or the buck par. Okay, and it's going back to the 88 cent level it was in, I don't know, the late 90s or wherever it was. But for today, I would say it's probably 110 to 111. Okay.
Look, the problem with Europe is that they just so tied into Putin that they can't do anything about it, and he's going to squeeze them like a lemon.
Well, but part of a lot of the issues in Europe are not only Putin, but are their own doing.
Well, and the big issue in Europe really is the divide between the North and the South, and the North is pretty tight and pretty austere with their budgets, and the South is devil may care. They spend, the Southern Europe is always in financial trouble, and the North has to bail the South out, and that's just a recipe for a lower Europe.
You're right, Steve. Look, here's the bottom line. The central banking system has been stealing, starting in England in the 1600s.
Yeah.
Okay. And how this country let this go through at Jekyll Island is beyond me. Okay. But it is what it is. That's what we got right now. In the meantime, 110 to 111, Connie, and Bitcoin. Well, no surprise. We said last week.
No surprise.
That we would expect to move. It could be either way. We both agreed, okay, that it could probably be higher. Okay. Again, not that we know, but you get to certain prices and you assume that certain things can happen. Okay. And again, it's more of a logic problem than anything else. Okay.
Right, and it was a little bit technical because we both pointed out that, since January 24th, we had this wedge pattern developing of higher lows and lower highs, and that usually portends a move outside the range. And we both said our best guess is higher, but who the hell knows? But our best guess would be higher. And P.S. here we are, gap opening.
And we are unfortunately so short at this moment, but we'll probably be long tomorrow. And there was some very good news for the crypto world, which is that the micro cryptos will have options. Okay. And also a mainstream broker known as Tradier is bringing in cryptos into their trading room or view, which means that now you can trade crypto and have crypto and still use the money that is tied up in it as part of your trading account.
Yeah, and by the way, there's another positive thing for the whole sector.
We are long the euro and we are long the US dollar. We're long both. Okay.
The other good thing, Bubba, for the crypto sector, Chanos is a mega short in Coinbase. And what? Nothing fuels a big rally like a mega short. And listen, I have a lot of respect for Jim Chanos. He called Enron dead right. He called Draftkings right. But you know what? He called Tesla dead wrong. So the guy doesn't always get it right. He's got discipline. He'll get out of positions. And I have a feeling Coinbase is going to be a Tesla, not an Enron.
I agree. Levels on Bitcoin, we're short right now, but I'm going to guess we're going to be long tomorrow. But in the meantime, for today, 40,000 to 50,000.
I think it's a pretty good guess.
40,000 to 50,000. Okay. Now, when you think about it, it's not that huge of a move. It's 25% up and down, and this thing moves with no problem that amount.
Right. And we have to point out, hey, we're short Bitcoin, but we've been short Bitcoin for a long time.
Right. And we were long all the way up as well. Look, again, I can't worry about any one particular moment at what happens. We know that eventually we're going to get reversed out. And
you'll never hear from Bubba or I that, we're trying to pick a bottom unless we're day trading and we're going in with a with a risk reward profile that makes sense. Okay, you might hear that from us there, but on our trend following stuff, you'll never hear us. We'll always be short at the bottom and long at the top, and we think that that's the formula for success.
Exactly. And the bond market, look, what'd you say, 136.13?
36.16, but
16.
we said that at 160.
No, I know. Look at they're good. Look, this little rally is nothing today.
No.
Okay. This is going to go off my screen tomorrow, probably. Look, nobody knows when the next big shoe is going to drop, but right now, if I were to guess, we could probably hold 146 for a little while. We're short. We've been short. But I don't think that this is going to go past 150. Okay, I would make it 146, but I'm not a buyer at 146. I'm only a seller of the bonds right now as a long-term day trading. I could trade either side.
The only thing is, looking at this chart, Bubba, I tell you, the one thing that the bonds do, the one things that they do is they move very sharply when they move. So just looking at the chart, to me, I don't think they can go above 156, but on a big short covering rally, they could probably get somewhere near 155 to keep that pattern of lower highs and lower lows intact.
When you were a commercial guy, did you watch the bonds much then?
Always.
Do you remember, people don't realize, they laugh when I say this, but at one point in time, the bond range was normally 4 or 5 ticks a day. Okay. And you had to make any money as a bond trader on the floor, you had to trade big size. Okay.
That's right.
And you had to trade spreads. You had to trade the notes over bonds or the 5 versus 10. Otherwise, you couldn't make any money.
And do you know why that
huge
was?
quantity. Now, the bond market is one of the most volatile markets there is.
Right. And you know why that was? That was because, in the desk I was sitting at right next to the bond desk, that was trading all of the other issues with no transparency. It was a printing press for money. So just keeping the market very stable and very wide bid offer spreads allowed you to do matchbook business. And just for the Solomons and the Goldmans and the Morgan Stanleys and the Dean Witters and the Bear Stearns made a fortune because there was no transparency. So keeping the market stable was in their best interests.
So anyways, 146, but I'm not a buyer, but I expect that to probably hold some support. Yeah. 150 is where I could see it going. Andy says maybe 155. Again, I can't, I'm only looking at the numbers based on what I can watch right in front of me, but certainly I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, I've been doing this long enough. I don't get too surprised too often.
Exactly. But I do think this is on an express train to 136.16. That's going to be where you're going to have your first level of important support.
I agree. Okay. And the gold markets, I wonder if I'm going to get my hate mail today. Last week when we had a big rally and the guy said, we're short, he says, you're short. And I got a lot of hate mail now. I wonder if he's going to send me an email today.
No, they're going to say you manipulated the market. You're back in there manipulating, Bubba.
I kept saying 1960, 1960, 1960, right? We said it here for weeks, yeah. 1960. Okay, now, again, I think you and I agree that still the key pivot is probably 1900. Right?
Yeah, you said it when we went through it the first time. Maybe 1800 is becoming 1900. The gold, people have to realize something about gold. Very important. Gold is a hybrid. It's a commodity, which means it's more volatile than currencies, but it's also a currency, which means it's less volatile than commodities. So, this is a very normal type action for the gold market, which, it trends over long periods. If you look at the root of this bullish trend, it dates back to 1999.
Right.
When it traded at 250, 250. So higher lows, higher highs, very much intact. But in the short term, hey, yeah, $100 swings, no big deal.
And we're still short. And again, look, I'm happy to be a long gold. I'm again, this is like equities. I'm always net long. Okay. My physical position is always bigger than my futures position.
Right.
So, but for now, I don't see any reason to jump in here. If it bounced tomorrow, would it shock me? No. I mean, to me, it's in tight consolidation. You had a big sell up today. We closed down near the lows. We'll see what happens from here. Again, I'm not against gold. I just think that you have to have an open mind in all markets as to what can happen and where they can go. And that's where we talk about the different plans for everything that you're doing. If you're a long-term investor, you shouldn't even be looking. It doesn't matter.
Right. The gold bugs have the basic ideology that When gold's up, you see, and when gold's down, it's manipulated.
Or you never hear from them. In the
Right.
meantime, 1900 and 1960 remains the same levels. Okay, now 1920 might be coming the new 1900. That's certainly a possibility. We'll see. This has been a kind of a battleground for the last 2 weeks, 1920. So we'll see. But in the meantime, until proven, 19 to 1960, and we are short. Okay, silver, very similar. Okay, is 26, 24.50 to 26. Okay, hey, look, I'm long silver. I think it's going a lot higher, but I'm short silver from a trading standpoint. That's what you want to remember is, again, there's a big difference between trading and investing and what you're looking for. And again, investors should never look at the price. Don't ever go check a quote, because what does it matter? Are you selling it today? When you want to sell it, you're going to take a bath.
Right. But you know what? You got to look at it like you buy a house to live in. Are you going to go and look at the valuation of that house every day? And you're going to feel bad if it goes down and good if it goes up? That's ridiculous. You're living there.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm never moving again. My next move will be into the urn that they'll put on the mantle. After this move, I'm never moving again.
Did you move?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I want to hang myself. Anyway,
how's the new place?
I mean, it's small. This is Xander's place. It's small. It's we got the whole second. Pam and I have the second floor.
Okay, that's good.
Listen, it's nice. Listen, they built the second floor, which was an add-on on the cheap. But again, it's fine. What?
So now Vegas is really the primary home.
Right. It will be. Yeah, 100%. So in the meantime, $24.50 to $26, and platinum again. Jesus, just when I thought it was safe to get back on the water, it was getting back towards 1,200. Look at it back. Now it's under 1,000 again.
1,000 pivot point in this thing. This has been this way for a long time.
It is. What is going on with palladium and everything else? I mean, are they under the same kind of pressure or no?
Palladium is 22.42. It got up to 3,400. It's very volatile. It swings $150 a day. These are thin markets, Bubba. Very thin markets. I'm
not buying them, Bruce. They can use a Pepsi bottle. Put me in. Okay. Anyways, I mean, platinum, we don't trade anymore because it's not liquid enough for us. But I mean, 980 is probably some support, but we would be short, and I'd certainly be a seller at 1040. But of course, I'm going to buy some in the physical side. I keep buying it like it's on sale. Maybe it's not on sale. Maybe I'm the schmuck on sale.
Well, we would be short. I'm glad it's not in the portfolio because I wouldn't be comfortable being short this one.
Yeah. And
I don't like the liquidity. Liquidity is key, and there's none when it moves.
Copper remains in the most miserable pattern you could ever ask for. We are short copper at the moment, but again, once again, we're getting into this very, very tight range. Probably 460 to 480. I mean, this thing's going to make a rocket ship kind of move one way or the other. And I know you think it's going to be higher, and I don't doubt it. I'm just saying that it's going to go. It's going to make a much bigger move. This coiling, this compression, whatever name you want to put to it, only leads to an explosion one way or the other.
Well, look at what happened after each, just look at this short-term chart in 2022. Each period led to a spike higher in correction. And I don't see any reason that won't happen again.
I wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, in fact, I could make a case, that this looks pretty good. So look, we're shorted. That's where we stand. In the meantime, 460 to 480. And as we go into the grain market, look, corn looks great. I was on RFD. I do RFD on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I go, what am I worried about? I'm a buyer here. We're going a lot higher. There are so many things out there. Nothing points to lower prices yet. Is there?
Corn is energy. Corn is food. Corn is Ukraine. Corn looks great.
Is there anything that you could look negative about on corn right now? Is there any news?
The only thing I could say is that, look, is the price high for this time of the year? It's very high. I don't think it's ever been as high as it is in March right now. Okay.
Right. But I mean,
high in March. That's the only thing I could say. And that bull markets don't move in straight lines. And if I came in and all of a sudden they push corn down 40 cents, would I be shocked? No, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be a buyer.
Just remember this. Okay. In December, we said that December hogs were awfully expensive for that time of year. And you know what's happened since? They've gotten a lot more expensive.
Right.
So
It's like everything. It's like when things are cheap and the market goes down, they get cheaper. When things are expensive and the market goes up, they get more expensive overall. And when I'm talking about the market, I'm talking about inflation and all of this stuff going on around the market.
I expect a huge move out of here. The big levels are 720 to 780. You can look at 740 to 760, but 740 to 720, I would have no problem being a buyer at 720. 720 to 780.
I think we see $9.
I think we see 10.
Okay.
Okay. I'm serious. Okay. Soybeans, oh, they went down today. They had just broken out of this tight range we've been watching for weeks. Got over $17. Not only that, but November beans got into the 15s. You got a pullback. Okay. Geez. That did a lot of damage, didn't it, Andy? I mean, it looks like, oh my God, it's falling apart. I better sell.
I said, 40 cents low. Okay. All right. It's these are bull markets.
I better hurry up and sell because it looks great. I mean, look, 16.50, even $16 looks good. And again, 17.20, 17.40 is the top. We're long. I hope we don't reverse. I mean, we're not reversing tomorrow for sure. But again, I think that you and I both said this for weeks. When it goes out of the teens, it's not going to 12.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, again, could we be wrong? Of course we could be wrong. But in the meantime, there's no reason to believe that these prices can't continue. And wheat, look, Andy said from the first time he ever came on this call that wheat was the most political commodity there is. And of course, we're seeing it play out in front of us. Now we're short wheat, as it turns out. So we're not upset by his move, but certainly I can make a hell of a case that this is a pretty good support level.
Yes.
Okay. That is held repeatedly. Now we are seeing a little bit of a descending type of triangle in here, but I'm not worried about it. I mean, listen, we're short anyways, but certainly if it was up 50 cents tomorrow or 85 cents tomorrow, would you be surprised?
No, but also remember, we're at 1060. Where is the price? 1060. At 1060, it hasn't been this price since 2008 when it reached an all-time high. These are very high prices. So it got up to a new all-time high over 1360. It come down hard. You know what? Bull markets don't move in straight lines, folks. They just don't. And the corrections in bull markets are brutal. And here it is.
I'm hoping that we get a big enough pull down to pull the stop down so that we can lock in a profit on the way back up, because I really would prefer to be long.
Right. And you know what? And I don't care what happens in Ukraine and Russia, in terms of peace over the next couple of weeks. When it comes to the commodity, I want to see peace there. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of wheat, this is 1/3 of the world's supplies. It's April this week. That they are not going to have a normal wheat crop. And those Black Sea ports, the Russians are not going to allow stuff to flow through them with these sanctions. And we're not going to let the sanctions off. So, these are cheap wheat prices. They're going a lot higher.
So, I mean, I'd say for today, 1040, 1050 to 1160. So already you got a dollar range that I'm giving you. Okay. And we are short. So again, we'll see how it trades out from here. And of course, feeder cattle. Look,
someone's head is going to wind up on a stick over the wheat price. That I can promise you. And remember, the last all-time high we had was in 2008, and we didn't see the civil disobedience and the revolutions until 2010, because it takes time to filter through the shortages and the price rises. So over the next 2 years, we're going to see a lot of problems because of this wheat price.
You could buy wheat at 1040 if you want to hold it. If you're going to trade it, I wouldn't buy it. I'd wait till it turns. But if you want to hold it, I'd buy it at 1040, 1050. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm short, but I wouldn't have a problem if you want to hold it and buy it. I wouldn't have a problem.
I agree.
But you have to be willing. You remember, this thing's moving limit almost every other day.
Right. Okay. You got to be willing. If you buy it and hold it, you got to be willing to see it at $8.
That's right.
It could happen.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Now, feeder cattle, look, we're short feeders, but they're building again a pattern. Now, again, I'm concerned about the cattle markets because of inflation. Okay.
You also have to be concerned about the feeders because of corn.
Well, yeah, but I mean, interestingly enough, when corn was down 20 cents, the feeders were down too. But what I'm saying is that the cattle markets in general, when oil rallies, cattle goes down. Okay, it's a new relationship, right? And I don't trade that way, but that's what I've observed. Okay, because again, if you're going to go to the store and buy a steak for your family, okay, then crude better be a little cheaper than it is. And when crude goes back up, we better go to pork. Again, this is the And I think, there's a lot of things to think about here because, you would think that, beef is a little bit more of a luxury item, okay, of a form of protein. Okay. So
Absolutely. But we're coming into the grilling season. It's a wild market. And I do think that because of feed prices, they're going to deliver in very light carcasses. So
you said that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Actually, I got some feeder guys on here. What do you think? Is he correct? In the meantime, I mean, if I'm looking at the level, 156 is right where it's at, is going to be key, and 159 on the upside. And fat cattle, which is which were long, again, they're almost opposite, but both really stuck in a consolidation pit. Okay.
And by the way, 140, not a low price.
I mean, if you turn this upside down, it looks just like feeders.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is interesting that the spread between feeders and fats is getting narrower, which is, again, there's guys that would say, hell, I gotta buy feeders and sell fats, right? Because that's how a lot of guys went broke with the wheat over corn spread.
Right.
Because again, just because it is doesn't mean it can't. Now, again, I do remember when feeders were 242 and live cattle or fat cattle was 170. So it had a 72-cent spread. Okay. Typically that spread, I think, trades somewhere around 30 cents. And right now it's trading at about 15. Yeah. So in the meantime, look, it's
look, the platinum gold spread normally is about $100 premium for platinum. So these things can diverge for very long periods of time.
100%. 139 to 141 if you're watching.
And you gave the example of the guy who on the wheat, what was it, the wheat corn spread?
Yeah, they went broke.
They carried them out, right?
Old timers too, right. Borrowed mortgages in their home. It couldn't happen, right? Right. Wheat was always $1 over back then. When I started, they were 2, 3, and 4. Corn was 2, wheat was 3, and beans were 4.
Right, I remember those days.
Anyways, the hog market, which we're long. Look, again, we said 100 was a key spot, and look what happened. 100, now we're 108. Now again,
by the way, look at the June. The June, I think, is
much higher, right? It went. June popped today. I think it was up almost limit. I think.
Well, 120-ish, right?
It was up big. Yeah. Hold on, I'm put up right now for you.
Yeah, it's.
Hold on. I got it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Of course, I forgot to put the little dash mark in there. There we go.
Okay. Amazing.
126 only.
Yeah, only. What's the all-time high?
138, I think, isn't it?
Right, it's not far.
I mean, look at this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, look, at the end of the day, the point is very simple. If people can't buy beef, they're going to buy hogs. Okay. And now, there is some bird problems going on right now. And again, that would listen, I'm not a news guy and I don't really care. Okay. Because to me, it's nonsense. But
yeah, they're killing a lot of chickens.
But it's priced in. But again, we said all along that hogs would and should probably go higher. And here you're seeing it. Okay. So, again, would I say that 110 is probably resistance? Yeah, I would say that. Look, I will say that probably sometime this week, barring any catastrophes, there'll be a down limit day in hogs this week. I mean, again, it's just not that I'm bearish. It's just that, you go straight up, you're going to see some movement. Okay. And crude oil, my goodness gracious, down 1040. So what does it mean? I said this earlier, we're dead in the middle, basically. Okay. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. Does it mean that we're going to get short term? I don't know. It's too close to call. Number one. Number two, the chart doesn't look all that bad. Okay. I could make a case for it being bad, but it doesn't look all that bad. And again, you and I still believe that 150 is coming and maybe 200.
So let me make a little comment here.
Yeah, make two.
Everything in perspective. The oil price as of the end of 2021 was up for 7 consecutive quarters. To make this the 8th consecutive quarter of gains, it has to close above $75.50. So the bottom line is, from a purpose, listen, we saw 130. This is a wild market. We called for 100. Up here, it's crazy land. This is crazy land.
I mean, you could look at this pattern as a potential blow off as a buying opportunity. Now, again, we're long at the moment. I really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Right now, I would say 100 to 110. Okay. Now you might think that's a big range, but we moved $10 today.
Right.
Okay. We're moving crude. A big move in crude used to be, if you go by the contract, the big contract, $1,000 or $2,000 a day. Now it's a move is $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a day. Okay. So
to move it today, I moved 10,000.
Exactly. So put that in perspective to what's going on, and you can understand that it's not a surprise. Remember, this is what our president doesn't understand. The higher prices get, the more action, the higher prices go. You know, especially if you're adding a tax to them, the percentage multiplies by a bigger number.
Nah, it's the oil companies ripping everyone off.
Yeah, I know. So are the big corporates ripping off. Everybody's getting ripped off. Okay. In the meantime, you'll see in my thoughts later. In the meantime, natural gas. Look at this. Okay, we're long, which is good. But look at this. It's 544, Andy. It's March 28th.
Highest price since 2008 in March. So let me say something here that people need to understand about natural gas. First of all, it's a wild commodity. You got to be very careful. You got to approach it with a plan. But natural gas has really changed. So back in the, couple of years ago, we had huge discoveries in the Marcellus and Utica shales, quadrillions of cubic feet of this commodity. We fracked for it, we drilled for it, we pulled it out of the earth. The price went down because supply is overwhelmed demand. But at that time, the natural gas's flow was limited to the pipeline network. Now, since necessity is the mother of invention, they found out how to liquefy it and ship it abroad to where it's much more expensive. P.S. It all went to Asia, where the prices, when it was $3 here, it's $8 there. So now with Ukraine, with Europe dependent on natural gas, with us ability to export the stuff, with us extracting less, the whole thing, the seasonality, everything's out the window because this is more of an international commodity. If you look at where UK natural gas went, over the last couple of weeks to record highs, Asian natural gas, and now we're diverting the natural gas from Asia to send to Europe. They're going to have shortages there. The bottom line is, forget seasonality, folks. This is the beginning of the injection season. Usually it goes down. Seasonality don't work in this anymore.
Exactly. And somebody just
the fundamentals.
Somebody just said, I understand ice increase margin. I'm sure they did. There's two things about margin. Okay. Number one, when the exchanges get a little nervous, they start pushing margin up naturally. But they, believe it or not, there's a new way they calculate margin. It's called span margin. They change every day. So I'm sure they went up 15 to 30%, and I'm sure they're going to go higher because they're choking.
It's a function of volatility, and the wider the price ranges, the higher the margin.
They're puking. That's always a sign that usually maybe the top is near. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that when the exchanges start getting nervous, that's always a sign because they've got margin money from both sides. So they
right. I will defend the exchange in saying this when I'm talking about the CME and ICE. We've seen some wild moves. We saw oil go to negative $42 a barrel in 2020. We've seen wild stuff go on unless wheat explode, all this stuff. The LME saw nickel go wild one day. They almost went out of business. So their system of margining, it's working because they're not busting transactions.
Right.
And that's why we trade in this venue, because we know that when we're long or short, the market moves, we're going to make or lose money. The exchange is not going to bust the trade on us.
In the meantime, 520 to 560, okay, would be, but again, we're not sellers, so we're only buyers right now, okay. And cocoa, what did you say last week? Coming towards the end of the quarter, expect it to move.
Yeah, it moves.
We're still short at the moment, and I don't think it'll change tomorrow, but it could. In the meantime, it's still really, 25 to 26 and a half, somewhere around there.
So cocoa is the first one to roll of the softs. And now we're in May. So we're going to roll from May to July. So we're going to start like this week, next week rolling. And this is where the potential in the May contract, the nearby, you can get a really big spike. So be careful there.
Right. Exactly. I mean, again, this is what
that's why we roll our positions very, very early.
Right. And so we don't get involved. We never want to be involved in delivery.
No.
Cotton, what a day this was. This was down earlier, spiked up, and of course, maybe a potential blow off top for the timing. I'm not calling it. I'm saying we're still long cotton. And interestingly enough, what do you think happened? They raised the limits. Okay. Why? Because of course they're nervous. You know, the exchanges, the one they hate when markets lock up. Okay. Lock limit. Why? Because it creates much more problems. So they continue to increase limits, and they've increased the limit in corn to 6 cents now, I think, or 60, whatever, $6, whatever the number is, but six full points.
6 cents. Yeah.
So not a shock, not a surprise. Okay. You know, this is what you might expect, you know, at any time when these guys are involved. And of course, this is what we have. Okay. We have markets going, you know, basically to Pluto. Now, again, you know what I'm going to say, that the speed in which is going up is way too fast. So a sell-off would be no surprise, and a consolidation pattern would be no surprise. If we're going to continue to go higher, I would expect to see consolidation. If we're going to break to the downside, then it'll just reverse and go straight down. I expect it to go a lot higher. This is just another commodity that's going to be, you know, affected by all the other commodities. Even though you can't eat cotton, you only get cotton mouth.
Yep. So it's a beast.
In the meantime, 134 support. There is no resistance. Okay. Sugar, it's down 2 cents. Look at this. Again, it's right up at the top. Okay, we're still long sugar. I don't see any reason to change it. I mean, yeah, look at this. You're probably going to break again. What was the high last year? 21?
2190-ish, I think.
Okay. I mean, no doubt that we could get there. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, Bubba, you know, we always look at the Brazilian real, and the Brazilian real broke out to the upside.
Okay.
You want to take a look at that? I mean, coffee was weak. I know that, but that's coming from a very high level. But the Brazilian real broke above 21 cents last week against the dollar. And that's a multi-year high. And that's important, you know, in terms of what, you know, what these soft commodities are doing. But if you look at a longer term chart, I think you have to go back a couple of years to see the price, 2018 or so. See the price.
Here's 16. Okay, here's 18.
Yeah, see, 21 cents was critical. So we're you know, we were up there. I think we traded over 21 on the April contract today. That's a big move.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a big move.
So again, but sugar, again, back to, you know, look at like 20 should be some resistance, but it wants to break higher. So am I going to set months? We're long anyways. And OJ, I went down a little bit today, but look where it went down from. It spiked up on Friday, tried to break out and failed. It doesn't make it fail. It just means that it's probably finding a new support level, which would probably be somewhere around 145.
Yeah, OJ is very, very cotton-like.
This is very, very expensive. But again, it's like everything else. It's only expensive in your mind. Okay. In relationship to everything else, it's not that expensive.
Right. And it's food. And all food is going up.
Okay. I mean, you know, I tell you, I can't tell how I hate when people start talking like PE ratios. Okay. Or they talk this, they talk that. Because why? Because those things are meaningless unless you're comparing like for like. So if you're comparing the car industry and the PE ratio in the car industry is 5. So if your company's a car company and it's 5, it's right where it should be. Okay. If you're in a PE ratio that's 16 and you're trading at 16, that's where it should be. But what does it mean? It means nothing overall. Okay.
Exactly. The only thing I like about that data is when they have projections about where stuff will be, because that'll tell me where sentiment is. And when it comes out over or under, that's where you get the big moves.
All right, but you're much more of a fundamental guy in general. So again, that's.
But I read it. You know.
I know. I understand. Listen, and coffee got pounded finally. I mean, we're short coffee, and finally it got hammered. Okay. Again, it doesn't mean anything. It's still higher than the 179, which where we bought it originally. Okay. Right. And it's coming down, and notice it got up to 260. Now, are you still of the opinion in your mind that it's going over to $3?
Yeah, eventually, but from
listen.
Yes.
I think it's going higher. Yeah, again, I think all the commodities are going higher.
I think it's going higher, but I do think that we want to see it find a level and build some cause and consolidate, and that'll be healthy for it.
The captain says we're sticking it to Russia by paying them more for their oil. You know, I'm not so certain about those sanctions either, right? Because there's too many things that we need from them. But anyways, in the meantime, coffee 212 probably to 228.
By the way, it's very easy to put Brent crude oil, that grade of crude oil, into a barrel from a different country and transship it anywhere. So oil it's a bit of a mirage, and it's a bit of a PR show.
So lumber had its move, okay, and now it's really just kind of winding around between 1,000 and 1,300, right?
Yeah, it's going to find the bottom.
Okay.
I don't know where. I mean,
right. I don't disagree with that. I mean, this is nothing more than another commodity, and timber is at record prices.
Yeah. It's the bottom line here is, okay, this is a wild one, head spinning moves, crazy moves. We'll find the bottom somewhere. It'll be, the one thing, I don't know where it'll be, but it'll be a higher low than where we saw, at the end of last year. That's what I think.
I don't have to check the Fed balance sheet. The Fed balance sheet is a piece of crap, and they don't do anything anyways. They're nothing but thieves. And as far as a recession, my opinion is we're already in a recession. I don't have to wait for the 10 years from now when they tell me that we're in a recession in 2022.
You don't need them to check the box 2 quarters of negative growth?
No, I listen.
All you have to do is go to the gas station to know that the economy stinks.
My headline on my podcast yesterday was, are economists dumb, or are we the dumbasses that listen to them? Okay, that's
I like that.
In the meantime, I'm going to stop this recording. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to just re-record the next part of this, part 2. So let me just stop this recording. I got to get here for my girlfriend. Thanks, honey. I hope you're not transgender. Okay.
Join the swimming team.
Well, anyways, all right. And what's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It is the Monday night call, and of course, it's become the Monday night marathon. But here we are, and Data, I know I just trust my gut, and that explains the ulcers. And listen, you trust your gut, you're a favorite to be busted. Okay, again, look, I can just tell you, after 44 years of this stuff, there ain't much I haven't seen or done myself. Okay, but again, we'll see what happens. The markets are quiet and not a lot going on. In the meantime, a man who's been in politics for 50 years and accomplished nothing just told Americans that his patience is wearing them thin. I mean, this is what we got. Okay, now, again, I'm not necessarily criticizing this administration, but I am. But I mean, 50 years he's been in office. What has this person done in 50 years? Tell me, please. Somebody help me out. Okay, and tell me. Okay, Andy, has he done anything?
I think that he's the perfect example of the opposite George from Seinfeld.
Mumble said everything is great. Man, Mumbles, that's what we call him in our chat room. Anyways, as always, public servants and military and all you guys, thank you. And unfortunately, I think you're going to be needed more than ever. Okay. This is not, to me, this does not have a good ending if something doesn't happen good soon. Okay. And I'm not talking about Russia. I'm talking about in general. I mean, we have a very bad situation going on right now, and we'll see. But anyways, we always thank you because, again, without you, we wouldn't be where we are, and we wouldn't be the greatest country in the world, even though we're slipping. But still, it's not your fault. We have politicians that are ignorant, and not just these. All politicians with these no term limits that can serve 30, 40, 50 years is a joke. Okay. But anyways, thank you. And we appreciate your service. And sanctions on Russia may achieve opposite of Biden's stated long-term goals. What do you think about that, sir?
I mean, the question is simple. Would you rather sell 1 barrel of oil at 100 or 2 at 50? Would you rather sell 1 cubic meter of natural gas at X or 1/2 at 3X? The bottom line is it's toothless. And with China taking, bargain basement priced commodities from Russia, they're like, okay, go ahead, sanctions. They're toothless as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I mean, again, his sanctions are not like the Trump sanctions. Okay. Trump drew the line. But anyways, now this really scared the crap out of me. North Korea releases a Hollywood style video confirming biggest ever missile launch. Okay. Now, fortunately, they're not quite at the point where they could pull up the rest of the world. But you know, look at what these countries are doing now. Okay,
I did find the humor in the Tom Cruise Jong-un picture.
I mean, can you imagine what the hell's going on here with this?
Oh, no.
I mean, and Biden weighs another SPR release after the last one backfired spectacularly. Look, you know, I don't know how big the SPR is, but when they released 50 million barrels, okay, that was a day and a half supply. Okay, we use about 30 billion gallons, 30 million gallons a day. Okay, so why are we continuing to go to the SPR? And last 2 times ago, they sent that oil to India and China. Okay, what is wrong?
Any strategic release, I don't care if it's the US or China, they don't work. If you remember back in July, August, and September, China sold big quantities of copper, aluminum, and zinc into the markets to control the prices. And what happened to those prices, Bubba? They all went, well, you know, copper and aluminum went to new all-time highs. Zinc also roofed. You know, the bottom line is that these strategic releases, they make for great PR. They make for great 1 or 2 day moves in their direction. And in the long term, the market scratches its head and says, ooh, now you got less to fall back on. Take it right up.
Exactly. I mean, again, it's ridiculous. I mean, what are we wasting our time for? Okay. This is as dumb. This is one of the dumber things you can do. That is strictly for an emergency when you're going to cut down your overall usage and you're under emergency conditions, not to try to bring the price down at the pump for a day. Okay. I mean, again, this has never worked. I think Clinton did it once and it was beneficial for a while. And I think Reagan did it once, but overall, these are for emergency measures only, not because the price is too high right now.
But yes, but that's what makes sense, and that's what's logical and makes the most economic sense. But what politicians do is they use it for PR.
Naturally. I mean, again, they want, you know, it's all about the vote, which again is another laughable thing. And a financial revolution is coming that threatens to change everything and not for the better. And I do believe that. And I'm very nervous about that and very concerned. And not for me, not for Andy, but for Andy's new grandchildren, for my children, and hopefully future grandchildren. I think this is not a pretty picture at the moment. What are your thoughts, sir?
Oh, it's not a pretty picture. I mean, there's a bifurcation that really the geopolitical, it's amazing. And we said it in early February when Xi and Putin shook hands at the Winter Olympics, said this could be a really big event. And it was a big event. And it's a bifurcation of the world between a China, Russia, North Korea, Iran alliance, a US, European, Canadian, Australian, Japanese, and other allies alliance. And this bifurcation has huge consequences. I mean, look, globalism is dead, and I never supported globalism, but this is a little different, and this is a little more dangerous, a lot more dangerous.
Here's a few comments that came in. He became more crooked. He voted against killing bin Laden, screwed the whole world up. That's what he's done. We get the government we deserve. We keep electing them. Nothing makes us vote for the same. Listen, I don't disagree with that. Okay. I mean, you know, look.
But money controls these elections, and the incumbents have a distinct advantage. It's the system that supports the insanity. So, you know, a lot of these Congress people, they run unopposed. They're not even opposed by the opposing party in a lot of places. So,
well, you know, listen, one of the big changes that would change a lot of things and who they vote for is that they would change the age of Social Security. They would lose. Some of the older people might really look and say, you know what, maybe this is not the best administration for me.
It's campaign funding. That's a big source of this whole thing. Because what does a congressperson do when they get elected for 2 years? The first thing they do is they start dialing for dollars for the next election.
Right. Again, you know me, I'm a 6-year term kind of guy.
When the founding fathers founded this great country, they wanted people to go to the Congress with skills and to give back public service, and then after they serve, to go back to their old jobs.
But they go back to their farms. That's exactly right.
Right. Farms, business, lawyers, whatever.
Right.
Whatever you did, doctors. They wanted a wide section of society. What they didn't see is that a new career called career politician.
Bernie Sanders
When
owns
I
these
was
homes as he cries for socialism.
when I was in high school, there was a guy who was running for assemblyman, fresh out of Harvard Law School, who won his election. And you know who he is? He's Chuck Schumer from my district in Brooklyn. And
Show
the
me.
guy has been nothing. He went from university, law school, Washington. That's it.
Put a bullet in my head. Anyways, the words of wisdom from our friend Connie, and I hope you're feeling better. I know that you've been going through a rough time, but I hope you're feeling better. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. And nothing could be closer to the truth than that. We build ourselves. You create your own identity, and you want to be a bum, you can be a bum. Okay. This is the problem. Okay. That, we don't aspire, and our school system does not aspire to make you smarter and better. It aspires to help you out to take a test. Okay.
That reminds me of a line from one of my favorite movies, which is Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, yeah.
To his son, you want to be a winner? You could be a winner. You want to be a loser? You could be a loser. Don't forget, you're a melon.
Exactly. Listen,
Right.
we laugh about those lines, but they're true.
They are.
Because they're on point.
There's a lot of truth in comedy, a fine line between comedy and tragedy.
And of course, Connie also provides us with the State of the Union. And there are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. And are we not going through that right now? Okay. Are we not going through that right now? Okay. So Connie, as always, aces. Okay. And of course, I got so many bitches. I couldn't figure out which one to sell on. And then I had to log into something, and up came that damn two-factor authentication again. I don't like mandatory anything when it comes to what I'm doing for myself. Okay. And this mandatory two-factor authorization is bullshit. And I'm sick of it. Now, again, if you want it, that's great. Okay. I don't want it, because what it does is it now takes my flight when I'm sitting on the plane for 4 hours. I can't work because I can't get into anything, because everything takes two-factor and it has to come back to my phone. Okay. And I can't get a phone signal when I'm at 30,000 feet. So I don't know about anybody else, but I'm so sick of this crap. It is making me crazy. Okay. I took two-factor. I'm in Guatemala. Am I right? Look, if you want to have it, great. I don't need it. And I certainly would like the opportunity to turn it off when I'm traveling, so that I wouldn't have 4 hours of dead time sitting there twiddling my thumbs. Anyways, in the meantime, okay, as we look at the main indexes, okay, which I won't forget today, the YM, Yankee Michael, which is what we use for the Dow. Again, we're long. Again, we're up at the upper end. We're trying to break out again. I'm concerned about the volume. I don't know. Again, last week you talked a little bit about it. This week we're talking about it because it keeps getting worse. I think this is going to be one of the slowest volume first quarters that I can ever remember. Okay, maybe the slowest. Okay, now again, it doesn't, when it comes to marking price, it means nothing. Okay, but to me, this has all the makings of what we talked about in the bond market, Andy, that they were allowing the retailers, they were allowing them to push up price, and so one of these days they're going to come in and whack them, and that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, it's
okay.
possible. It's possible.
In the meantime, we're long. Okay, and I would say that 34,300 is pretty solid support. And I guess 35,000 would be a resistance there. Now, again, I'm not selling. Okay. Again, day trading is one thing, but but I'm not selling my position until we change. So for today, 34,200 to 35,000. Okay. The S&P Echo Sierra, look at this. This is breaking out. Okay. So once again, this is a more bullish outlook. When the S&P outperforms the Dow, that is by nature more bullish. More stocks are performing.
Yeah, the S&P is the most representative index of the overall market,
and it is a spread that I trade. Okay, I do trade the spread, and when it's a bullish market, I buy S&P, sell Dow futures, and vice versa. And the spread is stretching the rubber band wider. In the meantime, we are long. Okay, and I would suspect that the next resistance is going to be, right around 4,600. Okay. And you're probably looking at, 4,500, 4,475 as some support. But I would, if I were going to look to be getting involved here, I'd probably be look to be buy around 45.25. Okay. Again, I'm already long. So again, just I always give you a full disclosure what my positions are. And the NASDAQ, November, Quebec, again, breaking out. Okay. And this looks like it's headed for, probably 15,250. Okay. So after we're down at 13 and under, here we are running up again. The support's going to be, 14.4, 14.2. Okay. And again, there's probably some pretty solid support around 14.7. Okay. Again, we're long, so I'm not looking to sell it. I'm only a buyer. Okay. And the Russell continues to be miserable, but again, higher, but still miserable. We're long them all, but this has shown that around 2,100 is pretty solid resistance, and around 2040 is support. And, this has been the most miserable trade because it's been in this miserable consolidation pattern for almost over a year now. Okay. So, and the VIX, look, it was down today. It was up early. Now it's down. Okay. And here we are now testing another bottom end, now under 20 again. Okay. And this has been, we thought we had, something going on, and suddenly look what's happened. You've had basically 3 or 4 weeks of straight every day, almost down, 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 down. All that tells you is that complacency is coming into the market, that option sellers are predominantly leading the way. So if option sellers are leading the way, typically, what are they probably selling? Okay, if you thought about it, what are they probably selling? Okay, they're selling puts, and they're selling put spreads. Okay, so those are bullish strategies. All right. In the meantime, Apple, Alpha Papa Lima. Whew. Well, we're long, so that's a good thing. Okay, but again, it came down to 150 and like a jackrabbit, straight up. Now look again. This
Are you surprised? Even when it was coming down, we both said.
No, I'm not. Listen. It's a great company.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of money.
Yeah.
I will say that the speed in which it's gone up cannot exist for much longer. I mean, look, doesn't mean it won't go higher, but there has to be some either consolidation or sideways movement. I would say probably for right now, I'd be looking between 170 and 177.50 for some consolidation. I wouldn't.
It's interesting. It's almost the exact opposite of how commodities move. Commodities, they crawl, they take the stairs up and the elevator down. This thing takes the stairs down and the elevator up.
It's amazing. And this is the captain beat me for a lot of pretzels on this. I had to pay off and deliver, but not on this one, but back in the day. But in the meantime, look, we're long, but I would expect some consolidation. 170 pullback would not be any surprise to me. A breakout to the highs wouldn't be a surprise either. But I would, if it's going to trade correctly and extend this rally, it's got a greater probability of consolidating versus going straight up. The longer it goes straight up, the more likely it is to collapse. Okay. In the meantime, like I said, 170 to about 177.50. Okay. AG Alpha Golf coming down a little bit. Now, again, we're still long. This is part of the, this is the silver ETF, which again, we have it in our portfolios for one reason. That's for when it's long. Okay. Because we don't get much hurt when it's short. But when it goes up in lumps. You can see it was up on this latest move.
It's kind of holding pretty well. I mean, it's the last couple of days have been
it held up very well, and if you look at it, it's up 50% in 3 months. Yeah. So that's the reason that it's in this portfolio. Okay, and when I look at it, I'd say 13 to 14 is my levels I'd be watching. Okay, and we're still long. Now, will we long term out? That I don't know yet, but right now we're long 13 to 14. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, and of course we're long. Excuse me, we're short AMD. My bad. Okay. And of course, here we are up at the upper end. Now, again, this doesn't look so bad. It looks like it, this to me, whenever I see this at a bottom or at a top, it always reminds me that more than likely that could be a bottoming or a topping pattern. And not a surprise that we got a bounce. I want to see what happens from here. But I could see, 125 resistance and probably, 110 support. And if you think that's a lot of movement, well, it is, but you have to remember what they're pricing into that. Okay. Because again, if you look at the implied volatility, it tells you what implied movement is. And the implied movement is over the next, couple of weeks is $12, which fits right in with what I just told you. Okay. So 110 to 125. Okay. Bravo, Alpha, which believe it or not, we're long. Okay.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it got down to a level. The interesting thing is that was, Bubba, that stinks like liquidation to me, that move down, that last move down.
Right. It's things like Charlie Munger.
It does. It smelled mongerish.
Right. Political, got a good reason to get out.
Right. We'll see. We'll find. Actually, we don't have to wait too long. We'll find out next week.
So in the meantime, 110 to 120 would be the levels here. And again, I'm not an active buyer of anything Chinese, but again, the charts were long. I am long. I wouldn't be getting too overly aggressive here. Again, I don't like the fact that with every day higher, volume fell. But again, the pattern says long, we're long, but this is not one that I'd be looking to add a ton to, okay? Because I think China has a lot of problems as well. And if they're going to shut down, that's even a bigger problem. So in the meantime, 110 to 120. Bido, Bravo, India, Tango, Oscar. Okay, breaking out. Look at that.
There you go.
Okay. Now, I think we're going to get a much clearer view of this now with options on the micros. Okay, because that will change the way that some of this trades. This will bring in my concern. We're short gold and silver. Okay, we're short gold and silver and have been short gold and silver. This brings in the concern I've had. The reason we've stayed away from this, and I've said that you would only want to gamble on this if you wanted to be in Bitcoin, is the backwardation and contango patterns in future months of futures. Okay, and until they still don't have that liquid yet. Okay, you're basically 1 month at a time. But now with options, they're going to have to open up the channels of the ability to trade more months, because a lot of arbitraging goes on using all different months in futures. So this may finally give us an idea. But I will say the same thing I always say: if you want to be in Bitcoin, if you're bullish Bitcoin, then this is a way to play it. Okay, this directly correlates to the future. Okay,
well, chicken and egg, Bubba. As you build a forward market, the one thing is that we'd agree Bitcoin, I mean, while the CFTC might call it a commodity, it is very much a financial, it's a currency.
And, I agree.
There's an interest rate function. And I think that, contango is a very normal state for this.
I agree. And I think that, again, you're going to see, listen, the more ETFs, the more options, it becomes both a security and a commodity.
Right.
Okay. And a currency.
Right. And by the way, for anyone out there, contango means that the deferred prices are higher than the nearby prices, just like we see in, all most financial instruments.
Yeah. For example, here, I haven't done this yet, but we'll do it today. Hold on. Bitcoin. Okay. So if we look at the months trading future. Okay. So you got 41. You can see this is in contango, April, May, June, and then you have a little drop off in July, goes in backwardation, and then it goes back into contango until December. Okay, but again, there's no action.
People don't know when you look at these also in the forward curves and something like this, which is a new market, you got to kind of look at the open interest to see what it is. And I don't think there's a hell of a lot of open
there is not, which is why it's so challenging. But again, with the introduction of options,
it should
you're going to see more activity. By the way, Colonel, does the introduction of options change your thoughts anywhere here? Just out of curiosity. Okay. So again, right now, if I looked at this, 28 is support. Okay. The resistance looks to be about 33. Okay. A big wide range, but what can I tell you? Okay. And then BitQ, which is Bitcoin soup, this is also breaking out. Okay. And again, these are just ways for you to potentially play the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency world.
I mean, this thing holds Mara and Riot and Coinbase and all that stuff.
Somebody once sent us a thing. I think it's like about 50 different things in here. In the meantime, 18 looks to be support, and I would say suspect that 20 will be resistance. Okay. Now we don't carry this. That's why I don't give you our position. I own it myself, but Chewy, Charlie Hotel Whiskey Yankee, which we do hold the position in, and unfortunately, it's on the short side. Okay.
I have a feeling we'll be long this soon.
You know, again, this is I recommend this, believe it or not, on Liz Clayman on Friday. Okay. I said, you know, look, it's a great company. They're also a potential takeover candidate because, you know, an Amazon could swallow these guys up. That's right up their bailiwick anyways.
Yeah.
But this company has the greatest customer service. Okay. And one thing I know for sure, okay, no matter what the economic conditions are, people are going to take care of their pets.
Yes.
Okay. So right now, I don't know where we're going to be tomorrow. My guess is this is going to change. But for today, 50 is resistance, 45 is support. Okay. 50, 45. And then coin, Charlie, Oscar, India, November, which we are still short and have been short for a while. Look, it's popping, and this is what you opened up with. Okay. You believe that this is going to be more of a Tesla than a Enron.
I do, but you know,
listen, we both own it. I don't doubt it.
I'm going to follow the trend with this stock, but you know, Chanos in there, nothing fuels a pop like shorts. So we'll see. This thing is just going to trade with Bitcoin. I'll tell you, if Bitcoin goes back to the highs, this stock will go over $300 a share.
It'll go back to the highs most likely. Listen, one thing we know for sure. Again, you can watch this on a daily basis just for kicks. If Bitcoin is rallying hard, this stock's going to be up. You can almost bet on it. Okay? Because again, they're basically the bookmakers. And we know one thing about the crypto world. Okay. The more bullish, the more participants.
And there's another reason. The other reason is because a lot of people are skittish. Then they don't want to buy Bitcoin and store it with a custodial. They don't want to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, put it in their own wallets. But this, they'll say, oh, this thing looks good now. I'll buy the Coinbase. So you're getting a lot of ancillary buying and selling with this to follow those.
Thanks, Colonel. Okay. So again, in the meantime, we're short for the moment. I don't know where we'll be tomorrow. I can certainly see this be a potential change as well. Draftkings, it's kind of just nothing. It's in this malaise of down, which again we recognize. I own it, but we've been shorted in the portfolios, and I don't see any reason that I wouldn't want to still be shorted, except that I own it. So as a trading position, I'm shorted. And I think, as I've said, 15 is kind of my number to say, you know what, this is another American Airlines. It's never going up.
Yeah, by the way, the chart says it all, especially look at the top in the left-hand corner where it says Draftkings. Oh, you had the line through the name. Right. I think that says it all.
I mean, so look, again, I think that Andy and I both believe that it's got a chance to be taken out here, which is, again, I think will be probably the only true salvation here, because they do have such a high cost of operation. Their acquisition cost of names is so high that I don't know if they could ever make enough money.
Yeah, paid for.
It's kind of like if you lose $1 million on an investment and you can only write off $3,000 a year, you can never write it off. Okay. And that to me is starting to feel like DraftKings, which means that hopefully they're potentially in play and that they will get bought out versus anything else. Cause I don't, again, I'm certainly not as bullish as I was once was. I've now recognized the error of my ways in general. Oops, I don't want that. What the hell was that? I've recognized the potential error of my ways. And again, I think it has an opportunity to be bought out. Okay. That is the only real thing that is keeping me that continue to buy it on the dips. But again, if it goes under 15, I will change my whole philosophy, or I won't get out, but I will not be as active a participant as I am at the moment. Okay. That's just, again, because to me, suddenly, again, I tell you when something fundamentally changes, and it's obvious that something has fundamentally changed here. But in the meantime, for today, I'd say it's 17 to 20. Okay.
What was Coinbase? 182.20?
Coinbase was, I didn't give it to her. That's my bad. Sorry, Connie.
182.20, huh?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Sorry, Connie. I did forget that one. And then Facebook, Foxtrot Bravo, which we are now long after being short from, I don't know, 300 something. Okay, we now long, and it is trying to break out. Now, will it go? I don't know. Again, do I know? I don't know. I know we're long. I know that the trend is higher. I know that it is breaking out. I know that everything looks great and that it should be able to take it up to at least, 230, 235, 240. And support's going to be somewhere around 220. Okay. That would be what I'd be looking at. You're correct there. I did not give you a coin. 180 to 220. Okay. You got that now, right? 180 to 220. Yeah, AL is roaring back. Yeah. Okay. You can own it. Listen, I know you'll own it for 2 more years. Okay. Okay. And it'll be gone as fast as that. Okay. Anyways,
Is that retirement day?
yeah, it's got 2 years to go. Okay. Unless they buy them out earlier. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo. And of course, we're still long. And of course, look at this. Whack. And again, notice where it came out of an ascending pattern into resistance, bang. Okay. That's the coiling action we talk about all the time. Okay. Now, we're long, which is good. If I was looking this, if I trade this, which I do not, I don't trade it actively. I carry it in the portfolio. But if I was trading this actively, I'd probably be looking for a spot to take a short position for a trade only, not for anything else, but for a trade only. In fact, if it was a future, I would for sure take a short in it, but it's not, and I'm not getting involved in these expensive options. In the meantime, 80 is obviously solid support now, and it's probably 80 to 88. Okay. GDX, Golf Delta X-ray. Well, certainly it does not look as bad as gold, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, look, it's interesting. We're short gold, we're short silver, but we're long the ETFs that correlate to those because they don't look anywhere near as bad. And as Andy says all the time, okay, the miners outperform on the upside and they don't get hammered as much on the downside. Well, there you go. Here's the perfect example of those 2 items. As I look at this and say probably 37. Okay, this is probably 37 to 40. Okay, and we're still long.
Yeah, and that's true in minor sell-offs. That is very true. But when gold is really gonna, if gold was gonna go back down and test 1800, this thing would underperform. So you gotta be careful.
220 to 240, honey. Let me get you caught up. 220 to 240. Facebook. First Solar, 80 to 88. And GDX, 37 to 40.
Yeah, there's still money pouring into the gold stocks. This whole Russian-Ukraine thing, this is a lot of gold. There's money flowing into gold here.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. Goldman Sachs, now they get earnings in, I think, 2 weeks from Thursday. Okay, they're flat, solid, sideways. Okay, we're still short. It doesn't look great, but again, we know they're going to make money. It has had a nasty pullback, but in a very short-term look, you would look at probably 330 to 345, but I think it's really more 320 to 350 is what I'd be watching, and we are short. Okay. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, and as it remains in miserable consolidation, and we remain long. And again, just look at from last week. What did I say last week? It's in miserable consolidation, and it has not changed. Okay. The only thing that's changed now is the range would be probably 203 to 208. Okay. So what is happening is what? It's coiling, it's tightening higher. Okay. Which could indicate a much bigger move coming. Okay. And for right now, our assumption would have to be that it'll be higher. Okay. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha. Okay. We're long this. We do carry. This is the one we do carry. Now it's trying to break out. And this is, again, that pattern looks just like the first solar pattern. It looks like a lot of the ascending patterns into resistance. Is this going to break out? I don't know. Okay. We're long. So everything that I do says that we should go higher. I know my friend, the Colonel, says not till $6, we're not buying it. But, again, and I respect that opinion. I'm just playing whatever the trend is right now. We originally started these and they were around $6. Okay. So, but in the meantime, here we are trying to break out. Okay. And if we do break out, I would think the next resistance comes in about 36. Okay. And I would look at this right now from 30 to 36. Okay. NEO, November India Oscar, they had earnings last week, I think, in the 24th. They're really stuck in a range. Okay. And we're long this after being short all the way down. Look, it's really just 18 to 23 until something happens. And again, I'm not as big a fan of the Chinese stocks here. I have my doubts of China in general. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But again, 18 to 23. Nougat, November Golf Tango. And again, obviously, a little bit more pressure here, but it still looks almost like GDX. And remember, this is 3 times the leverage of that market, and yet it's still acting pretty damn well when you look at it. Okay. And we're still long it. Okay. So I would look at this probably, 66 to 75. I think those numbers I used last week.
Yeah.
NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha. Okay. Which we are long. And again, it is popping out. Now, again, the speed is a concern. I said that last week, and look what happened. You had a couple of days of a pullback, and now we're charging up again. And now you're kind of going a little bit sideways in here. I would suggest that probably 300 is probably the next big number. As Andy will tell you, that big numbers usually are somewhat of an encumbrance and for a short period of time. And I would say that, believe it or not, 270 to 300. What's going on in the chip sector? Anything, big boy?
No, nothing spectacular here. I mean, there's a dark cloud hanging over, Taiwan Semiconductor is the big one. So Ukraine, China, Taiwan, that's a concern, a supply concern for the long term. Hey, if we were smart in this country, we'd be building chip factories like tomorrow.
If we were smart, that's a big if.
Right.
We would be, listen, if we were smart, we'd be self-sufficient.
If we were smart, we'd be pumping oil.
But of course, we want to make sure that China has power, and we want to make sure that the athletes get all their money from the Chinese markets and all the actors. So God forbid. In the meantime, 270, 300, Penn, Papa, Echo, November. And again, this looks like Draftkings, only a little bit higher, but it looks like a dog show. Okay. Again, same problem as Draftkings. They have too much acquisition costs. I think, again, more than likely, these little guys will get swallowed up and get taken over. Okay. And the question will be is what will the premium what they get taken over at be? Okay. But they're just too overwhelmed by the cost of doing business based on the profit that they can make. Okay. Because even on a big game, they can only make X amount of profit, which is a problem for them.
I mean, to me, it's March Madness. It's, it's the height of the gambling season. And, these stocks look terrible. So if they can't do it at this time of the year, when can they?
Right. Well, and again, it's the just for those who've never heard before, the factor is very simple. They're making thick. The best they can do is basically make 5% of the money that they handle. Okay.
This is a big handle time, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, think about it. If they handle $1 billion, how much do they make?
Yeah.
Anyways, the Q's, Quebec. And of course, we're long this. And of course, it continues to charge higher. I would suggest that probably 370 will be the next little bit of resistance. It looks to me like this is 355 to 370. Okay. And again, there's no reason to think it's going any lower. And look at Riot all of a sudden. Suddenly, it came back from the dead at $14 and it's now 22 and change. I think that you're looking at now 20 is going to be some support here. And the next target would be probably 25. Okay. And again, this is going to go with crypto, with Bitcoin. Okay. Again, make no mistake. That's where it's going. It follows that like a puppy. Okay. Roku, Romeo Oscar Kilo uniform. Okay. Which, of course, we remain short. Okay. It's really, obviously, it's in the middle of nowhere. And I don't think the levels have really changed. 100 to 140. Okay. Now, again, look at though how tight. Think about this. This is one of the most volatile stocks on the exchange. Look at how tight the range has become. Okay. And in fact, let's just take a look real quick. What are they pricing in here? I got to see this for myself. I don't pay too much attention during the day, but they're pricing in, okay, 70%. They're pricing in by April 14th. So 2 weeks from Thursday, they're pricing in a 15% move approximately. Okay, so you think about it. Okay, and right now it's been trading in less than a 7% or an 8% range. Okay, that just tells you that something is happening. Okay, and it's going to make a big move. Okay, in the meantime, I say 100 to 140. It's going to make. I'll tell you what. I'll bet you by next Monday, one of those two levels will be hit. Okay, so there you have it. Square dance, Sierra Quebec, again, winding tightly in consolidation. Of course, we're long this, and look at what's happening. Once again, it looked like it found a bottom. Okay, it's now holding in this after that straight up move. We said what? It would consolidate or go higher or come back lower, and certainly it consolidated, which is, again, more bullish than bearish. And again, I would expect that 140 is the key resistance, needs to break out. If we can get through there, it's going to 150. Okay. And the support is about 130. Okay. The SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, which we obviously are long, and it just continues to amaze. It looks to me now that probably 448 is the support. And it looks to me that we're probably going to go to 460. Okay. And probably higher. But right now it's 460. And again, it's going to be very interesting at the end of the quarter. Okay. Going into jobs, there's a whole bunch of factors this week with light volume that can really push things around. Okay. Tilray, which we don't cover anymore, but it did have a big pop last week. It actually had a big move from 5 all the way up to 850. Okay. And it was on some news about Schumer potentially proposing a bill, but none of the other.
I saw that, and I saw the stocks pop, and it happened late in the week,
but none of the other ones really popped, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah,
you know, when you think about it, I mean, if it was a real legit deal, you would have expected to have the other ones pop at the same time, and they did not.
Maybe Schumer and Nancy Pelosi bought some Tilray shares.
You probably. Would it surprise you?
No.
Okay. So.
Hey, by the way, I forgot to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Which departs from this. Did you see what happened at the Academy Awards last night?
I read about it. I mean, I heard on it. It was top coverage on VSiN today about Will Smith cracking.
To me, it's like, it just is a perfect symbol of how politically correct. That's a comedian. He's a comedian. He makes fun of people. To me, the whole thing was crazy.
Villanova, I didn't have Villanova. How am I going to give you a dividend check? I'm out. I got beat up over the weekend. I had Houston was my key team. Okay, Villanova's not going anywhere. They lost a key guy, and I think Gillespie's hurt too. In the meantime, TQQQ, Tango Quebec again. Just like the Qs, it continues to go higher. This is the Qs on steroids. Look, I don't know. Right now, I would look at it from 52 to 64. Okay. It's probably going to break out and continue to run. Okay. Tesla, Tango, Sierra, Lima, Alpha. Look at this. Now, again, this is way too fast again. Okay. It's continuation. It has gone nothing but straight up since the 2 weeks ago. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to me, you're probably looking at now 1120 is probably the next resistance. Okay.
When this thing moves, it moves.
Anything behind this? Any backstory that I don't know about?
No, I mean, listen, the market got exhausted. He sold a lot of stock in this company. The market got exhausted. I just think it ran out of selling.
No, I mean, listen, I'm just, I don't read the news, as you know.
There it is. Share split talk.
But I know that Will Smith extended Chris Rock's career about another 10 years. He got some good material for the next 10 years.
He really did. He took quite a sock.
Yeah. So and it was I heard the best thing about Chris was that he kept going. Didn't even phase him.
He's a funny guy.
Well, I like him anyways, but I didn't see, like I said, I didn't see it. I looked at it at Twitter. In the meantime, the VIX, Victor X-ray, we don't trade this anymore. I'm not even assigning it levels. Okay. Again, today it was up at one point like $5 and now it closed even. This stock now gives me a great deal of uncomfort and fear. Because my fear is what? That one day they say, we got no more money, goodbye, we're going to zero.
Yeah, I don't like the action here. I think you were dead right to throw it out of the portfolio. It's just not, it's just, it's too dicey.
Oh, it was staged. As long as it was staged. Oh, it's factory in Berlin. Okay, thank you. That's about Tesla. And then Win, Whiskey Yankee, November. Okay, which of course we're long. And look, I like Win. Like I always like Win. They're very dependent on China, but they're also, listen, in Vegas, they're packed. They just brought out their new app as well. And I think, again, this goes back to Draftkings for a minute. Okay. Johnny Avello was the head bookmaker at Win before he went to Draftkings. Okay. So certainly they could use their list and they could use their technology. And because Draftkings has by far the best app in the industry. Okay. So, but in the meantime, this is no surprise. It's kind of pausing here. And I would say probably 77 to 84. Okay. And we are long. And XBI, X-Ray Bravo India. What did I say last week? This is probably the upper end of it now, but it is consolidating in a much tighter range. It's like 89 to 95. Look, it doesn't look very good in general. I don't trade it anymore, but certainly I wouldn't be a buyer. Okay. And Zoom, which we don't trade anymore, but Jo, I'll bet you that this reverses tomorrow, big boy, for you. In the meantime, this is just kind of, and this is almost like a Roku. This range 115, 112, 115 to 120 on this stock that trades at probably a volatility of 80. Wait, let's see. Let's find out. Let's see if I'm right. Okay. No, I'm sorry. It's only 62. Okay. It's only expecting a 9% move, and it's trading in a range of about 3%. So again, this is something that it's going to make a big move. Okay. So from where, we were short and would still be short, but I think it may reverse tomorrow for you, sir. In the meantime, again, look, I can only say this to you. It's going to be, I don't see any reason why we're not going to remain very quiet. We've got Easter next week. So it's a short week for expiration for options on the 14th instead of the 15th. Got jobs on Friday. You've got basically a crappy market. Okay. That's kind of what I see. Again, we trade every day. Okay. We trade live futures every day with members, but I don't see, as I've said to them every morning, there's no reason to be overly aggressive here. And I'm sure you agree with that, sir.
I totally agree. I mean, look, you got to be careful in this market. We don't follow the news, but the situation over there in Europe is still very dicey. And the leadership in DC is also dicey. So we got to see, what's going to be. Just expect the unexpected and be careful.
If you have any stocks that may take a look at quickly, I'll be happy to do so.
There it is, uranium. That's
Kamiko.
I've had my guys in
CCJ, Charlie, Juliet. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, Technomental, we've been in since 19.
It looks pretty good.
The stock, yeah.
I mean, listen, it's a good looking stock. It's making a good pattern. Look at where it came from. Okay, so again, it certainly looks pretty good. Adobe. Well, again, I don't trade it myself, but I'll tell you what I think of the chart. Okay. I mean, to me, it looks pretty awful at this moment. I mean, it looks like it would be certainly trending lower. Did this find a bottom here? I would say if I were going to trade it, okay, to me, it would have to get back and close up of like 465, okay, which isn't that far, okay. This stock moves in lumps, but again, it looks like it could be okay, but certainly I would have to assume the trend is still lower. Okay, and we're at best consolidating. I'm sure they're a good company, and I'm sure they'll do well. But again, you always have to wonder at what valuations that they end up at. But certainly, again, for me, if it got over 465 and I traded it, I'd be interested. Okay, Abalone, ALB. What are you doing on that? That was one of the first stocks I ever looked at 1,000 years ago. Abermally, right? What do they do again?
Lithium.
Okay. I mean, again, doesn't look great. Okay. I mean, it's come off the bottoms nicely from, 175 or 170 area. And it has certainly, if we were in it, we'd be long it in here. But again, from an overall perspective, it really hasn't gone much. I mean, I think that 220 is something to watch.
Go back
look,
a little bit and take a look at what it's done.
I'm sure it's come more straight down.
I mean, look at this thing.
After going straight up.
It's-
No, I mean, again, I get it. Again, I've seen these before. I've seen this movie before. And it's not, it's not that I don't like these trades. I'm just going to reset this to a weekly chart. There you go. Okay. So you can see it was up to 300. Look, to me, it held a pretty solid support area, which not a surprise. Okay. And, now it would be, somewhere around 240 is probably pretty solid resistance on a weekly chart. Again, I don't trade it, so it's hard for me to grasp and give you a solid feel here. I don't, but as I look at it here, it doesn't look great from here. That's how I see it. FCX, that's an oldie bit of goodie.
Report McMoran.
Yeah, I used to help a guy with that when it was 60, then it went to about 5.
Right, now it's about 50.
Oh, back about 50 again? Jesus.
It's about 50. Yeah, I think it's
Foxtrot, Charlie, X-ray. There you go. That looks pretty good. I mean, obviously it looks great. In fact, for you real technical analysts,
where is it? Where did it close today? 38.73.
Cup and handle, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that for you real technical guys, a cup and handle, which takes forever to develop, but it's very bullish when it does. Okay. I certainly would say that it's probably not going below 45, probably not below 48, unless it's going to fall apart. Okay. So again, for all of you, just be careful. Look, if you're hedged, great. The choppy action doesn't do us any good there either, but it doesn't hurt. We know we're protected. But if you're going to, I would not recommend trying to be too active. And certainly this is not the time for aggression. This is the time that aggressive traders get carried out. Okay. And if you're aggressive, you can get lucky, but you have a bigger probability of getting busted. Andy, as always, I thank you, brother.
By the way, I'll just add one thing. The one of all the markets, the one that I think is most interesting here of all the asset classes is the Bitcoin. Because I think from a risk reward perspective, if this thing did break out, you could go for a major run here. So, risk reward, I think, this one is the most interesting. Would you agree with that?
Oh, listen, I'm a big believer. I just don't have that big of a position because I got involved too late.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a big believer in general.
Right. But I'm not saying run out and buy Bitcoin, but I'm saying, hey.
No, I would have no problem buying any of those.
Right, BitQ or
because I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I think any real big move is going to be up. And yet, could we go back down to 25,000? Of course we can. We go to 20, go to 10.
Do anything. You could go to 0. Anything.
But could it be 100,000 in 6 weeks? Yeah. It could be anywhere.
Of course.
I certainly would lean to being long.
I agree. I wanted to add that.
I appreciate it. Very good. Andy, thank you. As always, everybody. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here. Some of you I'll see you in the morning, and the rest I'll see you next Monday night.